Okay folks, here's a wee video. This is my Triumph Rocket 3R, which I've owned for about 2 months. And I'll tell you things I like about it and the things I don't like about it. So first of all, my previous bike, the bike I traded in for this was a 2021 GSXR 1000R, 200 horsepower sports bike. And well, what can I say? This Triumph Rocket 3R is an absolute torque monster, as you can imagine. Puts a smile on your face every time you go on it, apart from, which I'll get to that. Fuel consumption, it's not too bad, it is what it is, you know what I mean? I think about 150 miles to a tank. It's very comfy. Styling's absolutely spot on from Triumph. I mean, the likes of this here. Whoever designed this, I should be getting a wee bit of pay rise, I think, for Triumph. And these exhaust headers are a work of art. I changed these onto these exhausts simply because the standard. I like the style of the standard ones, but oh me man, what a weight! I think I saved something like £15, 15 to 16 pounds in weight alone with these. And to be honest with you, they're not that noisy. Even with the DB killers on them, there's not much of a difference, so I just took them out. And the welds on this exhaust system are just fantastic. Superb. Now I looked at the Patriot system and it was, let me see, how much more was it? 700 quid more expensive than these pipes. I paid 900 quid for this system. And that's a lot of money. That's your insurance, a lot of fuel, road tax, and I would thoroughly recommend these. The build quality in this is fantastic. Now, there's no catalytic converter in here now. You've just got like a resonator box under here, and there's nothing coming out the other side, so everything comes out this side of the bike. It's got a gorgeous back wheel on it. I'm pretty sure the new Storm has got a slightly different design. They're even lighter than this. I mean, this bike's something like 80 kilos lighter than the old Triumph Rocket 3, which looks massive sitting alongside this one. I think Triumph made a fantastic job of the styling. Now, I bought this is an R model. I bought this second hand with just over 1,000 miles on the clock. Let me see, I'll switch this on, see if you can see this. Oh, sorry Harley riders. Anyway, switch gear and all that, pretty good. Aye, this bike actually came with some extras, heated grips, quick shifter, and this screen, which were done at the 600 mile service. So that's about 850 quid I think the guy paid all in. The heated grips is the first bike I've had with heated grips, and aye, they're fantastic. A lot of guys moan about the key fob. Where is it now? Right, here it is here. Okay, bing, up it pops. Now this opens allows you to lift the rear seat up, and if I pop this open, it's got a lock-in fuel cap. And folk moan about they go into petrol stations and oh, I've got to go into my pocket and get my key out my pocket. Well, no you don't. Just don't lock the cap. When's the last time that somebody nicked petrol out your bike? Come on, let's be serious. Just screw the cap down tight, shut that, and that's it. And then you don't need to take the key out your pocket. The front brakes, absolutely spot on. We'll get to the rear brakes in a minute. Now, this bike, you'll see here, came with a quick shifter. Marks out of 10, I'd give it a 6. It's not that great. Once you've owned a GSXR or even a Yamaha MT10, which I owned before, they are super smooth compared to this. This is okay going up when the engine's under load, but I use the clutch for downshifts because this is just, you have to give it a fair old kick on the way down, which you shouldn't. Compared to the Yamaha previous ones, and I see a lot of people on YouTube saying, oh, it's fantastic. Well, maybe that's because they've came off a bike that's never had a superior quick shifter with Triumph fitted on this bike. It's okay. It's a bit like it's okay on the way up, but on the way down, it's alright. I'd give it a 6 out of 10. Suspension wise, the bike is absolutely, it's kind of, it amazes me, man. For the weight of this bike handles exceptionally well, and I mean exceptionally well. I think any sports bike rider who took a shot of this bike would be absolutely flabbergasted, to be honest with you, how good this bike handles for what it is. Remember, it's a massively heavy bike. And well, now, what else? I quite like the dash. The dash is quite smart. I've just got it set, and I don't, to be honest with you, I set it up and I didn't really mess around with it. But it's quite nice and clear and concise, so spot on with that. Now, here we go. Where are we? This piece of shit in here. Now, Triumph fitted, get this, they fitted the wrong size master cylinder of this bike, and the rear brakes in this bike are a piece of shit. It's fucking diabolical that Triumph let this bike out the factory with the wrong size rear and expecting customers to run about with defective back brakes. Now, they did send out a recall for us, a recall. But one thing they don't do, which Triumph maybe should, I know that Suzuki and Yamaha 100%, even although if you're a second owner, which I am, you still get a letter from them to say your bike has a safety recall. Triumph don't do it, so they're obviously happy just to let their customers run about with dodgy back brakes. And it's not as if Triumph now must be able to tell how many of these bikes have been done and how many haven't. And the ones that haven't, they should be sending a letter out to people. Because I'll dare say there's a lot of folks running about and they've never had this recall done. Now, the only reason I know about this is because this side cover, I phoned up Triumph in Glasgow needing the wee rubbers that hold this in place, and the very helpful young girl said to me, by the way, your bike is still awaiting to have a safety recall done on it. And I said, all right, so what does that entail? And she told me, and I said, all right, okay. So I phoned my local Triumph dealer, and they said 6 week wait before you can have it done. Just bleed the brakes. So I bled the brakes a couple of times. First time I did it, didn't really make any difference, to be honest with you. I did get a wee bit of better pedal. Took the bike out the following day, came out my drive, down the bottom of the road, pushed the back brake, and it went straight to the deck, and no back brakes. Pulled out onto the road, went along the road, and I had to pump it about 4 times. So I took it back, bled it again, 100%, no bubbles. Had a decent pedal. Same again, following morning, got up, went out on the bike, down the bottom of the road, pushed the back brake, piece of shit. I mean, Triumph should be ashamed of themselves, man, letting people actually putting a bike out with this piece of shit. Right, the wrong size rear master cylinder on a bike with this amount of power and torque and the weight of this bike. If you had to do an emergency stop on this bike and you were depending on the back brakes and you've not had the recall done, then the chances are you'd be rear-ending somebody. So that's a big fault on Triumph's part, 100%. Now the header's gorgeous. There's so many things that Triumph did on this bike that is just, the designing is fantastic. It really is. And this bike is seriously, I think it's seriously comfy, but mind you, coming off a sports bike, anything would be comfy. But what I do find myself doing though is hitting the rev limiter all the time, because obviously the GSX-R, it was only starting to make power at 7,000 RPM and it went right round to say 12,500, whereas this bike will hit the rev limiter at 7,000. So I'm just kind of having to curtail the way I ride this thing. But I can honestly say any sports bike riders, man, should go and test ride one of these, man. They're fantastic. The torque is just so addictive, and it's quite easy to get at least another 30 plus brake horsepower out of this bike. The same, basically I think that's what they've done at the Storm. They've just tweaked the ECU, and you can do it yourself. You can buy a OBD sensor, plug it in, get a laptop, and there's loads of videos on YouTube showing you how to do it, but I think the best thing to do is get it done and have the bike on a dyno so they can get the air to fuel ratio spot on. But aye, I'm relatively happy with this bike. Aye, it's alright, apart from that piece of shit rear brake, which I suppose I wait 6 weeks, or I could probably get it done closer in Glasgow, but that's 6 hours up and down, or I just continue just to remember and pump the rear brake. But we'll see what happens there. But really, Triumph should get a boot up the backside. I mean, that's bullshit, man, expecting folk to run about with defective brake. Well, sorry, need to let folk run about with defective brakes, but to actually put a bike out with a wrong size rear master cylinder in this day and age is just shit. Well, it is in my eyes. Anyway, folks, that's enough of my moaning. I'm going away for a cup of tea now. So, there we go. Triumph Rocket 3R. Absolute torque monster. Okay, till the next time. Daddy bye.